appreciate Corey very much, and we've become friends. Corey actually sent me, even though we're very much on different sides of the position on this, he sent me a birthday greeting this last summer, which I appreciate very much. So he's a nice man. But I do disagree with a lot of things that he said. In a nutshell, this is not a regressive plan, and for reasons that Irene and I have talked about. But bottom line is, if you care about low-income people, they use mass transit. They don't drive. Less than 5% of them are actually driving to the CBD. Secondly, the tolls, putting tolls or charging for people to go into the CBD is not going to hurt our economy, and it's actually the massive traffic that we have and the very severe underinvestment in transit that's actually costing our economy in a very, very serious way. Asking people to pay their fair share and to pay a fee to go into the central business district is not going to hurt our economy. I also want to say that this is not a plan that's designed, or the intent, what Corey says is the intent is to keep cars out of the central business district. That has never been my thought. It's not Sam Schwartz's thought. Nobody has the goal of eliminating cars in the central business district. The idea is to simply say, if you're going to drive your car in the central business district, please pay your fair share like everybody else. And listen to this carefully, because this is kind of a shocking way to think about it. Everybody who travels into the central business district, except unless you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist going over one of the bridges or across 60th Street, everybody else, subway rider, express bus rider, regular bus rider, SBS rider, Metro North, Long Island Railroad, every single one of those people is paying anywhere from $2.75 to $30 to make a one-way trip into the central business district. The people that are using those free bridges every day are paying zero. So every 2 years, when tolls in the area and fares go up by 4%, 4%, everybody is paying more and more and more. That one group that goes over those East River bridges is paying zero, and then paying zero year after year. What that means is they're not contributing to the infrastructure that we all use. When you pay a subway fare, a Long Island Railroad fare, a Metro North fare, a bus fare, you are contributing to the pot of money that's needed to keep that transportation system going. When you drive over that free East River Bridge, you're contributing $0. So the idea is not don't do it. The idea is fine, do it, but pay your fair share like everybody else. And it is false to say, oh, well, car drivers pay too. We pay registration fees and license fees and parking fees and gasoline and insurance and repair. Yeah, that's a lot of cost. That's why poor people don't drive cars around New York City, because it is expensive to drive a car, and none of those fees go into the system to actually maintain and improve that same system that we all rely on to get in and out of the city. Whether that's a bridge that you want to have properly maintained, which is true, we don't put enough money into roads and bridges. The Move New York plan, by the way, does call for money to go into roads and bridges. We think that's important. Or whether you're a subway rider, et cetera. A couple other quick little points. Subway capacity. Corey raises a fair concern. It does seem like, God, they're already pretty crowded. Isn't this going to make it a lot more crowded? First of all, you'd be surprised how little, in a way, this is going to change daily life for drivers. Most drivers are still going to make that trip. They may choose to make it a little bit less often than they did before, but it's not going to radically change how we get in and out of the city. But if we invest in bus service, if we invest in signal improvements, that's going to improve both our bus capacity, provide service to the transit deserts, and also improve subway capacity as well. The only other thing I would just say is I want to make a couple comments on Danique's comments. Danique, I agree with almost entirely, actually. And he and I have become friends, and we've debated hotly on this issue, and we've had very serious conversations, personal conversations about our respective experiences and so on. And I agree with almost everything he said. The only thing I'd ask Danique to do, and I think he said it today, is let's work together to make sure that this plan gets passed, but it addresses the very issues that he's talking about, because they're all legitimate. Just a couple of specifics. Transportation agreed equalizer. I couldn't agree with that more. That's exactly right. But that's why you invest in a transit system. That's what makes us all equal, because most of us aren't driving our cars. around New York City. Most of us are taking mass transit. So if you want to make it the great equalizer, you got to invest in that system, and specifically, you got to invest in the transit deserts. You got to provide service for those underserved communities that don't have it. Secondly, a couple other quick comments. No comprehensive plan to address the transit deserts. Denique's exactly right. If I had my druthers, if I were king and I was running that panel and managing this process, I would have strongly recommended that the panel actually put that forward so we know not just how we're going to get charged, no one likes that part, but we know specifically how are you going to fix the subways, how are we going to use this money to improve signal systems, how specifically are we going to invest in transit deserts, etc. I would have liked to have seen that, and Denique would too. We're very much in agreement on that, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us to start asking that question. So how is this money exactly going to be spent? And what can we do to make sure the people that have not been well served by the transit system are well served going forward? Remember, this has been true for decades. Why not seize this moment to actually change that system so we actually have much better service across the whole city, not just certain communities that benefit and other communities that don't? The lockbox, completely agree with. We have to, and it's in the Move New York plan. It needs to be in this plan. This is no good at all if we just create this system and the money gets frittered away or diverted to other uses, et cetera, et cetera. Then we've lost. I'll be frustrated, and I'll be standing in the streets protesting with Denique if that's what's happening. So Mayor de Blasio, who softened his opposition, has pointed that out. We need to lockbox this stuff. I couldn't agree with Denique more. I want to work with him to do that. I will push back on the 2 sets of books thing. The MTA, listen, they're running $1 trillion asset. It's a very complicated system. There's very good arguments for maybe breaking up the MTA at some point into smaller agencies to manage different parts. It's ridiculous how much they spend on 2nd Avenue subway and all these other big projects. It's like 3 times more than any other city in the country. It's outrageous, and we're right to be outraged. We really are. So I would call for let's simultaneously reform the MTA while we're also developing this new plan. So I think that's it, Jeff. I think that's all I wanted to say. We did, just on the investment community, based on influence, not need, I totally agree with that. That's why in the Move New York plan, we carved out $4 billion that would only go for investing in transit gaps. The good news about the Fix NYC plan is they've made a priority on fixing the subways, the existing system, and providing service to transit gaps. So they heard that message loud and clear, but let's get them to be a little bit more specific about what that actually means. So that's